So, starting soon.
Okay, I see a Peyton Jean Pace.
Hello.
Hi, can you identify who you are?
Yes, I'm an intern for the Ingham County Public Defender's Office.
Okay, thank you. So we're waiting for an attorney to log in. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Judge.
Good afternoon, how are you?
Good. Mr. Raleigh's getting on, he'll be getting on in just a moment too.
Okay, I'm not sure who that is. Are we ready to proceed now? Because we've been waiting for a while on the Zoom.
Yes, we can proceed on at least half of the people. He'll be on in just a minute.
Is there
We have
what
First,
particular half that he's on?
like I said, we can start on one of the clients that I did, which is, I'm going to be half a dozen. He'll be getting on in just a
Okay.
minute.
I don't know which ones you did. That's why I'm asking. They don't tell me.
Okay, yeah. Summers, Hartwell, Donna, Holcomb, McGriff.
We'll start with Donna. We'll start with Donna Holcomb.
Okay,
Because I don't see Summers on here or the other name you called out.
You guys want some more?
Okay, we're on the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Donna Jean Yvette Holcomb. File number is 22-01195. Council appearance, please.
this is Attorney Luke Goodrich from the Public Defender's Office, here to represent Ms. Holcomb at her arraignment on this warrant.
Thank you. And are you Miss Donna Jean Holcomb?
Yes,
Okay, so today was the date set for an arraignment on a bond violation, it looks like here. Let's see. I have a police report here that's dated for May 8th, 2022 at 6:29 p.m. The allegation, ma'am, is that you violated the terms of your probation, I'm sorry, the terms of your bond by violating the no contact order. It's alleged that you called a victim on a cell phone and then came to his house to retrieve your vehicle and personal property, and that this was done in violation of the no contact order that was issued by the magistrate back on May 8, 2022. So you have the right to have a contested hearing on the bond violation. You have the right to be represented by counsel. I'm not sure, is she represented by the Public Defender's Office on the underlying matter, Mr. Goodrich?
Yes, she is, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. And so you are represented by the Public Defender's Office on this matter, so your attorney would represent you on the bond violation allegation as well. But you do have the right to have a hearing on that bond violation. If you're found to be in violation of your bond order, that could be a contempt of court punishable with the maximum penalty of 93 days in jail or up to $7,500 in fines. You also could be revoked from any bond status and remanded to the custody of the jail pending the underlying domestic violence charge. Do you understand that, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay. You were just arraigned, so we do have all of your contact information here. But for the purposes of this bond violation, is she pleading not guilty?
She is pleading not guilty, Your Honor.
Okay, the court will enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf for the violation. I think the underlying bond was $100 cash surety is what it looks like it says. Okay. Just based on the nature of the allegations, which is that you called the alleged victim's cell phone and went by the house to retrieve your vehicle and personal property. I don't see any additional bond violations since that time. This was apparently the date you was arraigned. Possible that you may have had a misunderstanding about the no contact order. So I'm going to go ahead and issue a $500 personal recognizance bond on the PA 53, okay?
Okay.
This matter is set for hearing. It looks like you have a pretrial May 23rd. And so it looks like they set your bond violation for June 6th. They moved the pretrial to June 6th. I'm not understanding this. No. You see that in JIS?
Yes, they moved both of them to June 6th.
Okay, sounds good. It looks like they changed your pretrial date. That will also be on June 6th at 10:30 in the morning, okay?
Okay.
Did you get a copy of the notice to appear for both?
Is it on this one paper that we got today?
Okay, so that paper, I don't know if it says just for your PA 53 violation hearing, but you're gonna have your pretrial and your PA 53 on the same date. It's gonna be June 6th at 10:30, okay?
All right.
Do you have any questions for the court at this time?
No.
Any additional matters for the record, Mr. Goodrich?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Thank you. You're all set, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, and Jacob Raleigh is here, so we'll go with Isaiah Hooper. We're on the record. We're on the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Isaiah Hooper. File number is 22-01318. Council appearance, please.
This Attorney Luke Goodrich from the Public Defender's Office here to represent Mr. Hooper in this, for this arraignment.
Thank you, Mr. Hooper. Is that your name, sir?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
I couldn't hear you. Can you pull your mask down, please?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Okay, thank you. Today's the date that is set for arraignment. I do have here a felony complaint. It alleges that on or about May 17, 2022 at Willow and Norwood in the city of Lansing, Ingham County, state of Michigan, that you did allegedly contrary to law commit the act in count 1 of weapons carrying concealed. It alleges that you did carry a dangerous weapon to which was a pistol concealed on or about your person, and that this was done contrary to Michigan Compiled Law 750.227. This is a felony, and the maximum penalty is 5 years or $2,500 in fines. There's a mandatory forfeiture of the weapon or device required under MCL 750.239. Do you understand the charge there, sir, and the maximum penalty associated with the charge?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You have the right to be represented by counsel. You are represented by the Office of the Public Defender today for the purposes of arraignment only. But you have the right to have an attorney with you to represent you at each stage of the criminal prosecution. You have the right to have attorney with you if you are interviewed at any time during this prosecution. You have the right to remain silent and not have silence be used against you. You have the right to proceed to a preliminary examination within 21 days of today's date. At the time of your preliminary examination, sir, you have the right to have the prosecution establish their burden of probable cause. So they have to establish that they have sufficient probable cause that a crime was committed and sufficient probable cause to charge you as the defendant who committed the crime. Do you understand your rights so far?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you also have the right to proceed to trial in this matter. You have the right to have a jury trial, and at the time of jury trial, you have the right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty. You have the right to have each element of the charge being brought against you be proved beyond a reasonable doubt. You have the right to cross-examine or question any witness that the prosecution intends to call. You have the right to call your own witnesses or present evidence that you believe would further a defense to the charge. You have the right to remain silent at trial and not have silence be used to implicate your guilt. Do you have any questions about your trial rights, sir?
No, ma'am.
Okay. As to your right to counsel, if you cannot afford to hire one, but you economically qualify, you can request to have one appointed at the expense of the public. Is he requesting court-appointed counsel?
Yes, he is, Your Honor.
Okay, and so you have the right to plead guilty, you have the right to plead not guilty, and then you have the right to stand mute and proceed with the prosecution in this matter. As to this charge, is he pleading not guilty today?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Hooper, what's your home address?
608 West Willow.
Is there an apartment at all?
Yes, ma'am. H11.
Are you currently employed?
No, ma'am.
What's your phone number?
517-449-9950.
You're currently scheduled for probable cause conference on Friday, May 27th, 2022 at 1:30 p.m. before me, Judge Kristen Simmons, in courtroom 4. That will be held virtually over Zoom. And then you have a preliminary examination before me that's going to be June 3rd, 2022 at 9 o'clock in the morning. That will be in person at the court. Did you get a copy of that notice to appear, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And do you have any questions at this time?
No, ma'am.
Okay, you can make your bond motion, counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, Mr. Hooper is a very young man who does not have any major criminal history at this point. He has lived in the Lansing area for his last 11 months, and I believe he's lived in Michigan the rest of his life. So we would ask for a PR bond, give him an opportunity to appear on his own here.
His prior criminal history, I don't see anything on his criminal record other than the instant case that's pending. I will grant your request for personal recognizance bond. Bond will be set in the amount of $2,000 personal recognizance. Now, sir, you need to make sure you appear to court for all of your future court dates, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
You also need to appear on time. Not gonna
I
be a
am.
problem? Okay,
No,
are you
ma'am.
in school?
No, ma'am.
Okay, what are you doing? You're not working and you don't go to school. What are you doing with your day?
I take care of my girlfriend because we got a baby on the way, and I'm looking for a job. I'm not just sitting around looking for a job.
Okay, okay. Well, make sure you get to court on time for your court dates while out on bond. You're not to use, purchase, or possess drugs or alcohol unless you have a valid prescription for the drug. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
You're not to engage in any assaultive or threatening behavior. You're not to travel outside the state without prior approval of the court. You're not to purchase or possess a firearm or other dangerous weapon. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you need to report to pretrial services within 48 hours of your release. You should be given that information on how to contact them from the jail today. And then you'll be reporting to them weekly, okay, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
You have any questions?
No, ma'am.
Any additional matters for the record, counsel?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Thank you. You're all set, sir, and we'll see you at your next court date. McKinley, Weston.
Oh, Your Honor.
Okay, we're on the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus McKinley Lloyd Weston, file number 22-01317. Counsel appearance.
So Attorney Luke Goodrich from the Public Defender's Office here to represent Mr. Weston in his arraignment this afternoon.
Thank you. And you're McKinley Weston?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so today's the date that's set for an arraignment, and I have before me a felony complaint. It alleges that on or about May 17th, 2022, at the area of 816 Prospect, which is in the city of Lansing, Ingham County, state of Michigan, you did allegedly in count one commit the act of assault with a dangerous weapon, also known as felonious assault. It alleges that you did make an assault upon a Janaya Manual with a dangerous weapon, being a knife, but without intending to commit the crime of murder or to inflict great bodily harm less than murder. This is contrary to Michigan Compiled Law 750.82. This is a felony, and the maximum penalty here is 4 years and/or $2,000 and fines. Your DNA is to be taken upon arrest, and a consecutive sentence may be imposed under MCL 750.506A if the assault was committed in a place of confinement. Do you understand the charge there and the maximum penalty associated to that charge?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so you have the right to be represented by counsel. You're represented today by the Office of the Public Defender, but that's for the purpose of your arraignment only. You have the right to have an attorney represent you at each stage of the criminal prosecution. If you cannot afford to hire your own attorney, you can request to have court-appointed counsel representing you at the expense of the public. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is he requesting court-appointed counsel?
Yes, he is, Your Honor.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Weston, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say, and anything you put in writing can be used against you. You have the right to plead guilty. You have the right to plead not guilty. You have the right to stand mute. You have the right to proceed to a preliminary examination within 21 days of today's date. At the time of preliminary examination, sir, you have the right to have the prosecution bring sufficient evidence to establish probable cause is sufficient that a crime was committed and sufficient to charge you with the crime. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
You have the right to proceed to trial in this matter, and you have the right at the time of trial to be presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. You have the right to remain silent at trial and not have that silence be used to prove or implicate your guilt. You have the right to have the prosecutor prove each element of the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt. You have the right to cross-examine or question any of the witnesses the prosecution intends to call. You have the right to call your own witnesses or present evidence you believe would further your defense of the charge. Do you understand those rights?
Yes, Your Honor.
You also have the right to have representation with you while, or if you are being questioned or interrogated at any stage during this prosecution. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
For the purposes of his arraignment, how does he want to plead?
Not guilty, Your Honor.
Thank you. The court will enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf. Mr. Weston, you're currently scheduled for probable cause conference. It's set for May 26, 2022 at 8:30 in the morning. That's before Judge Stacia Buchanan in courtroom 2. You have a preliminary examination before Judge Stacia Buchanan on Thursday, June 2nd, 2022 at 9:30 in the morning. Did you get a copy of your notice to appear?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. What's your home address?
1534 Bailey Street, Lansing, Michigan.
What's your phone number?
517-303-0501.
Are you currently employed?
Yes, I am at Collier's Painting Incorporation.
Can you repeat that for me?
Collier's Painting Incorporation.
What do you do there?
I'm a manager. I pretty much just paint and tell everyone what they need to do and where they need to be at.
You currently on probation or parole?
I haven't did probation yet.
Okay, you have something pending, sir?
Yes,
Is it an OWI?
yes.
Okay,
And I speak to him on Monday.
you say your sentencing's on Monday?
I've already been sentenced.
Okay, were you sentenced to probation?
Yes.
Okay, before what court?
Um,
What judge?
this, Stacy Buchanan.
Judge Stacia Buchanan?
Mhm.
Okay. You can address bond, Mr. Goodrich.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, Mr. Weston, as he stated, he works full-time. I know he takes care of his kids. He was very worried about getting home to his kid. I believe he had to have a babysitter spend the night while he was sitting in jail last night. He would like to ask in this matter for either a PR bond or a low 10% bond that would give him an opportunity to get out. He has lived in the Lansing area his whole life, and I think is likely to appear for court future hearings. So, thank you.
Okay, I reviewed his prior criminal history. That's the affidavit of probable cause for this matter. And taking also into consideration that he's currently or should be on probation in the instant matter. I think there is a concern about the safety of the public here, so like a personal recognizance bond would not be appropriate. So I will not be granting that. Bond will be set in the amount of $2,000 cash surety. While out on bond, sir, you need to make sure you appear to court for all of your future court dates. You're not to use, purchase, or possess alcohol or drugs without a prescription for the drugs. You're not to engage in any assaultive or threatening behavior while out on bond. And you're not to travel outside the state without prior approval of the court. Do you understand that?
Yes.
There's going to be a no contact order for the alleged victim. You're not to be within 1,500 feet of wherever the victim lives, wherever the victim works, wherever the victim goes to school. Do you understand that?
Yes,
You're not to have contact directly or indirectly with the victim or witness, last name Ford. You understand that?
yes,
You understand what direct or indirect communication means?
yes,
Okay, so you can't have anybody else contact on your behalf, okay?
yes.
Also, while out on bond, you're not to possess or purchase a firearm or other dangerous weapon. You need to report to pretrial services within 48 hours of your release, and you'll be reporting to them weekly, okay?
Yes.
Do you have any questions today?
Yes, about bond, cash or surety, that means I can go through a bondsman still, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions?
No,
Okay, any additional matters for the record, counsel?
No, Your Honor, thank you very much.
Thank you, you're all set. Gabriel McGriff. Is it Gabriel or Jabril?
It's Gabriel.
Thank you. We're on the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Jabril Alexander McGriff. File number is 22-01315, council appearance.
Yes, Attorney Luke Goodrich from the Public Defender's Office here to represent Mr. McGriff at his arraignment this afternoon.
Thank you. And Mr. McGriff, I have here before me a felony complaint. It alleges that on or about May 17th, 2022, at the area of 221 Huron Street, which is located in the city of Lansing, Ingham County, state of Michigan, that you did allegedly in count one commit the act of weapons, firearm possession of a loaded firearm in or upon a vehicle. It alleges that you did transport and or possess in or upon a vehicle a loaded firearm, which was not a pistol, but was a rifle, and that was contrary to Michigan compiled law 750.227C. This is a high court misdemeanor, making the maximum penalty 2 years and or $2,500 in fines. Is a mandatory forfeiture of the weapon or device required under the law, unless it's a pneumatic gun is charged. There is a count two, a weapons-free schools possessing weapon. It alleges that you did possess a rifle in a weapon-free school zone contrary to Michigan compiled law 750.23784. This is a misdemeanor with the maximum penalty being 93 days in jail and or $2,000 in fines. A mandatory forfeiture of the weapon or device is required under the law. Do you understand the charges right there, the maximum penalty in both charges, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, you have the right to be represented by counsel. You're represented by the Office of the Public Defender for the purposes of your arraignment today. You have the right to have an attorney represent you at each stage of the criminal prosecution. If you cannot afford to hire your own attorney, you can request to have an attorney appointed to represent you at the expense of the public. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Is he requesting court-appointed counsel?
Yes, he is, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. McGriff, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say and anything that you put in writing can be used against you. You can plead guilty, you can plead not guilty, or you can stand mute. You have the right to proceed to a preliminary examination within 21 days of today's date. And at the time of the examination, you have the right to have the prosecution establish their burden of probable cause. So they have to establish that there's sufficient probable cause that a crime was committed and probable cause sufficient to charge you with the crime. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
You have the right to proceed to trial in this matter if this matter is to proceed beyond the the preliminary exam stage. At the time of at the time of trial, you have the right to remain silent and not have silence be used to implicate your guilt. You have the right to have each element of the charge be proven beyond a reasonable doubt by the prosecution. You have the right to be presumed innocent until they prove you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. You have the right to question or cross-examine any witness that they may call. And you have the right to call your own witnesses or present evidence at trial that you believe would further a defense to the charge. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
You have the right to have representation with you if you are questioned or if you are interrogated regarding the allegations as alleged in this complaint. Do you have any questions about those rights?
No, Your Honor.
For the purposes of his arraignment, is he pleading not guilty?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. McGriff, you're currently scheduled for probable cause conference before Judge Cynthia Ward. It's scheduled for Friday, May 27, 2022 at 9 o'clock in the morning. You have a preliminary examination before Judge Ward Friday, June 3rd, 2022 at 9 o'clock, and that's in courtroom 1, okay?
Okay.
Did you receive a copy of your notice to appear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What's your home address, sir?
1233 West Hillsdale.
Are you currently employed?
No, ma'am.
Are you in school?
No, ma'am.
What's your phone number?
517-402-6789.
Are you currently on probation or parole?
Currently on probation.
Okay, before which judge?
I think it's Mrs. Ward.
Judge Ward?
Yes, Your Honor.
You can make your bond motion.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, Mr. McGriff, I said, well, currently on probation. He's only 19 years old. He still lives at home with his parents. He's lived in Lansing his whole life. He did have that other matter. Didn't have any failure to appears on that case. While this does involve a gun, there is no allegation of assault or anything in that nature here. So we would ask for a PR bond on this case.
Well, the allegations, although there's no allegation of assault, are very concerning. There are allegations of a rifle on school property by an individual who we now know is on probation and would have been under a direct order not to be in possession of a firearm and does not have a CPL. And so there will not be a personal recognizance bond issued in this matter because it would not be appropriate. I think there's a immediate threat to the public safety of the community. Bond will be set in the amount of $2,000 cash surety. While out on bond, sir, you're not to purchase or be in possession of a firearm or other dangerous weapon. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have any questions about what might be considered a dangerous weapon?
Yes, no, I know what they are.
Okay, thank you. Also, while out on bond, you need to make sure that you do not leave the state without prior approval of the court. You're not to use, purchase, or possess alcohol or drugs unless you have a valid prescription. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
You're not to engage in any assaultive or threatening behavior while out on bond. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
And then you need to report to pretrial services within 48 hours. You're going to report to them weekly. You need to make sure you appear to court for all of your future court dates, and you need to appear on time, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have any questions today?
No, ma'am. No, Your Honor.
Any additional matters for the record, counsel?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
You're all set, sir.
Your Honor, we had some background noise in the jail. Was that a 10% or a cash surety bond, ma'am?
It's cash surety,
Thank you.
no problem. Jason Tarver the second.
Yes, Your Honor.
You're Jason Tarver the second, sir?
Yes, correct.
Thank you. On the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Jason Tarver the second, file number 22-01264 FY, counsel appearance.
Yes, Attorney Jacob Rowley from the Office of the Public Defender, appearing on behalf of Jason Tarver for the purpose of his arraignment only.
Thank you, Mr. Tarver. Today is the date that's up for an arraignment. I have before me a felony complaint. It alleges in count one that you did commit on or about March 3rd, 2022 at the area of 724 North Pennsylvania, City of Atlanta, Ingham County, the crime of assault with a dangerous weapon, also known as a felonious assault. It alleges that you made an assault upon an Isabella Parker with a dangerous weapon, which is a broomstick handle, but without intending to commit the crime of murder or to inflict great bodily harm less than the crime of murder. This is contrary to Michigan Compile Law 750.82. This is a felony. The maximum penalty is 4 years and or $2,000 in fines. Your DNA is to be taken upon arrest, and a consecutive sentence may be imposed under the law if the assault was committed in a place of confinement. In the alternative to count one, there's a count two. It alleges that you did commit assault or assault and battery, that you did make an assault or assault and battery upon the following person, that being Isabella Parker, and that this was done contrary to Michigan Compile Law 750.811. Restitution is possible, as this offense may have resulted in damage to another individual's property or may have resulted in physical injury or death to another individual under MCL 780.811A. That's a misdemeanor. The maximum penalty is 93 days and or $500 in fines. A consecutive sentence may be imposed under MCL 750.506A if the assault was committed in a place of confinement. There's a count three of aggravated assault. It alleges that you did make an assault being armed with a weapon upon a Malachi Boyd, and that you did inflict a serious or aggravated injury upon said person, but without intending to commit the crime of murder or to inflict great bodily harm less than the crime of murder, contrary to MCL 750.81A1. Restitution is possible, as this offense may have resulted in damage to another individual, or it may have resulted in physical injury or death to another individual. That's a misdemeanor, with the maximum penalty being 1 year and or $1,000 in fines. A consecutive sentence may be imposed under MCL 750.506A if the assault was committed in a place of confinement. Count four, aggravated assault, alleges that you did make an assault without being armed with a weapon upon an Addison Parker and did inflict a serious or aggravated injury upon said person, but without intending to commit the crime of murder or to inflict great bodily harm less than the crime of murder, that this was contrary to MCL 750.81A1. Again, restitution may be ordered in this matter as this offense may have resulted in damage to another individual's property, or it may have resulted in physical injury or death to another individual. This is a misdemeanor. Maximum penalty is 1 year and or $1,000 in fines, and a consecutive sentence may be imposed under the law if the assault was committed in a place of confinement. Do you understand each count read there and the maximum penalty to each count?
Yes, I understand that, Your Honor, but I got a post report in Saginaw that they assaulted me. I just didn't know their names because I had to go to the hospital. Think about all them people. They jumped me. I just want to put that on record, Your Honor.
Jason, it's not appropriate to discuss that at this time. You should save that, please.
Okay, I was just putting it on record. I got a post report too, but okay, thank you. You're my counsel.
Advising you not to talk about it at all at this time, please.
Okay, thank you. Okay, well, let me go ahead and advise you of your rights, sir. First, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say and anything you put in writing can be used against you. You have the right to be represented by counsel. You had representation today by Mr. Raleigh from the Office of the Public Defender, but that's for the purposes of your arraignment only. You have the right to have an attorney to represent you throughout the entire pendency of this criminal proceeding. You have the right to have an attorney with you to represent you if you are being questioned or interrogated about this incident. Do you understand that?
Yes, and I don't think I'm gonna attain counsel.
You're going to retain counsel?
Yeah, but like I'm gonna get a real lawyer. I know court
Okay, I'm
appointed.
not
Like,
sure what a real lawyer is, because court-appointed lawyers are
I'm
real
getting-
lawyers as well.
Yeah. I'm just saying I'm gonna get one of my family lawyers. That's what I meant by that. I'm not saying they not.
You want, that's correct. So the first way that in which you retained it or termed it is retained counsel. It's actually disrespectful to refer to people who are coming here to represent you today as not being real counsel. They are qualified and they have the same qualifications as retained. Don't talk over me, sir. As retained counsel, okay? They just are working as public servants to help those who can't afford to hire or retain an attorney, okay?
Okay, well, she put like that. I'll take one of those because I can't afford it. Your Honor. So I take one of the.
Yeah, court-appointed counsel is what they're called.
That's what I take because I can't afford it, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. So you want a court-appointed attorney?
Yes.
Okay, did he do an intake for court-appointed counsel?
Yes, Your Honor, I have the information I need to start that process.
Okay. Okay, so, Mr. Tarver, you have the right to proceed to a preliminary examination in this matter. You have the right to have that examination within 21 days of today's date. You have the right at the time of the examination to have the prosecution bring sufficient evidence to establish the burden of probable cause, which is on them. So they have to present enough evidence to show that there is sufficient probable cause that a crime was committed and sufficient probable cause to charge you with the crime. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor. And I apologize too. I misunderstood.
No problem. I'm here to help explain as much as I can, and then you'll have a counsel, whether it's court appointed or retained, to help explain things even further for you, okay?
All right, and I would like to state this too. I got my daughter prom coming up, and I just bonded out of Saginaw County on child support, and she stayed with me. So my fund is really low, and I'm mercy to the court. And I'm asking you for your leniency, Your Honor, because I just learned about this warrant when I was bonding out on that warrant, and then that's when y'all came to come get me. So that's what I'm trying to say. Like I gotta still help pay for her prom / her 8th grade graduation, and I already don't got it. So I'm mercy to the court. So you help me, please.
Okay, so thank you for sharing that. The attorneys that are here today will make a bond motion at the appropriate time. So let me make sure I advise you of your rights, because that right now should be your primary concern, that you understand your rights as we proceed through this very serious matter that you have pending in the court. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes.
Okay, and so if this matter proceeds beyond the probable cause standard, that means it's going to be bound over to the circuit court to proceed to a trial. If you have trial, you have the right to have a jury trial. At the time of trial, you have the right to have the prosecution prove each element of the charge against you. They have to prove each element beyond a reasonable doubt. You have the right to be presumed innocent until they do that. You have the right to remain silent at trial and not have silence be used to prove or implicate your guilt in any way. You have the right to question any witness the prosecution calls, and you have the right to call your own witness or present evidence that you believe furthers a defense to the charge. Do you understand that, sir?
Yeah, so that's when I would bring the police report. That's what you're saying with that, right? That's gonna be my evidence and something like that.
That's correct.
Correct. Okay, I understand.
Okay,
Okay.
for the purposes of his arraignment, yeah, I'm going to enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf based on the information you've already shared with the court, okay?
Yes.
Okay. Are you currently employed, sir?
No, I was supposed to start taking my CDL class next month, but I was kind of undeciphered with which company I was gonna go with, because one company you had to pay cash or you work for the other company for a year. So I was trying to get that situated, and I learned that I had these child support warrants and stuff, so I was trying to get that stuff taken care of. Now I got this, and I've been helping my uncle. He got a stage 4 liver cancer, so I'll be taking his doctor appointments. I'll be having to go help feed him. It's just a lot going on right now, Your Honor.
Okay. It does sound like you have a lot going on, sir. What's your home address?
931 Ridgeland Drive, Saginaw, Michigan, 48601.
What's your phone number?
989-332-1599. But I do have family that live in the Lansing area if you need one of these addresses.
Well, no, where do you live? I need the address where you
Yeah,
reside.
that's my main address. That's my mailing address. Yeah, that's it. The one you
Okay.
just got.
Can you give me the last 4 digits of your phone number again?
1599.
1599, okay. You're currently scheduled before probable cause conference on May 27, 2022, 8 a.m. before Judge Cynthia Ward in courtroom 1, okay?
Yes, on here that's a Zoom, but that mean come to the courtroom? As you just said.
Your probable cause conference will be held via Zoom. So that's why you got that purple sheet, so you can know how to log in. You need to make sure you log in on time. You need to have video capabilities and be properly prepared to proceed. That means you're not driving, you have clothes on, you're not smoking or doing anything else, you're not laying in the bed, okay?
Right, that, I just got confused when you said courtroom 1, but it is on Zoom, so I understand, correct, thank you.
Right, you do have the option of appearing in person if you can't appear via Zoom for your probable cause conference. Now, as to your preliminary examination, that is in person in courtroom 1, okay?
Okay.
Do you have any questions?
No.
Okay. Are you currently on probation or parole?
No, ma'am.
You can address bond counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would just like to note that Mr. Tarver, at least since the alleged date of this of these offenses on March 3rd, he has been living in Saginaw, Michigan with his mother. He has no reason to come to Lansing to have any contact with the alleged victims in these offenses. Understanding that these are very serious charges, I would note that I don't believe he is a threat to the alleged victims. I don't believe he is an inherently dangerous person. I believe, that, as he noted, he is currently not employed. He certainly does not have the means to attempt to evade the court or flee the area. And for those reasons, I would request some sort of reasonable, perhaps 10% or cash surety bond.
Oh, thank you. I was really, you shared a lot of information, say, Mr. Tarver. Do you have another matter pending before the court right now?
a traffic ticket and the child support, but I just paid it. I still owe the child support, but I just paid the 1,600 to get out. And then that's when they told me that I had to come here for this. But yeah, nothing like no. Just that what I just told you about.
Okay. Based on the allegations, I think there is some threat to the public safety. I will grant the request for a 10% bond. Bond will be set in the amount of 5,000, 10%. While out on bond, sir, you need to make sure that you don't have any contact directly or indirectly with the victims or the alleged victims in this matter, that being a Isabella Parker, a Malachi Boyd, and an Addison Parker. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Also need to make sure you appear to court on time for all of your future court dates. You're not to purchase or possess a firearm or any other dangerous weapon while on bond. You're not to travel outside the state without prior approval of the court while out on bond. You're not to engage in any assaultive or threatening behavior. You're not to have any alcohol or drugs unless you have a valid prescription. You understand that?
Yes.
You need to report to pretrial services within 48 hours of your release from custody. You need to report to them weekly as well. Do you understand that?
No, no, you just missed me with that one. You said report to who?
Pretrial services.
You said report to pretrial service in 48 hours?
Within 48 hours of your release from custody.
Okay. I figured out.
Okay, you'll get the contact information on how to report from the jail, okay?
Okay, that's where I'm getting confused at. All right, yes.
Okay, do you have any questions, sir?
No, just thank both of y'all.
Okay, any additional matters for the record, counsel?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you, you're all set, sir.
Thank you.
Jason Phillips. We're on the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Jason Phillips. Jason Michael Phillips, file number 22-01286FY. Council appearance, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Attorney Jacob Rowley from the Office of the Public Defender appearing on behalf of Jason Michael Phillips for the purpose of his arraignment today.
And Attorney Adam Pfeiffer on behalf of the people.
Thank you. And today was the date that was set. I have more than one file. Okay, it looks like I have several other files. I also have file number 22-01283 and 22-01316. Today was the date Mr. Phillips set for an arraignment on a new charge here. And then it looks like there's two PA 53 violation arraignments. We'll start with the new file. That's the file number 22-01316. I have here a felony complaint that alleges that on or about May 16, 2022 through May 17, 2022 at the area of 122 Mechanic Street, City of Lansing, Ingham County, State of Michigan. You did allegedly in count 1 commit the act of aggravated stalking. It alleged that you did engage in a willful course of conduct involving repeated or continuous harassment of a Rachel Phillips, the conduct being such that would cause a reasonable person to feel terrorized or frightened or threatened or harassed, and said conduct actually causing Rachel Phillips to feel terrorized or frightened or threatened or harassed, and at least one of the actions constituting the offense is in violation of a condition of pretrial release, contrary to Michigan Compiled Law 750.411I. This charge is a felony. The maximum penalty is 5 years in prison and/or $10,000 in fines or probation for any term of years not less than 5 years. Do you understand the charge there and the maximum penalty associated with that charge?
Yes, ma'am.
You have the right to be represented by counsel. You're represented today by Mr. Raleigh from the Office of the Public Defender, but he's here to represent you for the purpose of your arraignment only. You have the right to have an attorney with you to represent you at each stage of the criminal prosecution process. If you cannot afford to hire your own attorney, you can request to have one appointed at the expense of the public. You understand that, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Is he requesting court-appointed counsel?
Yes, Your Honor, he is.
And Mr. Phillips, you have the right to remain silent. Anything that you say, anything that you put in writing can be used against you. You have the right to plead guilty. You can plead not guilty, or you can stand mute. You have the right to proceed to preliminary examination in this matter. You have the right to have that examination within 21 days of today's date. You have the right to have the prosecution at the time of examination establish the burden of probable cause, that they need to establish that there's sufficient probable cause that a crime was committed and probable cause sufficient to charge you with the crime. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
If this matter proceeds beyond the preliminary examination, you have the right then to have your jury trial in circuit court. At the time of trial, you have the right to question or cross-examine any witness the prosecution calls. You have the right to call your own witness or present any evidence that you believe would further a defense to the charge. You have the right to be silent at trial and not have silence be used to prove or implicate your guilt. You have the right to have the prosecution prove each element beyond a reasonable doubt. And you also have the right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any questions about those rights so far?
I do not. Thank you.
You have the right to be considered for pretrial release from custody. We'll address bond at the end of this portion of the hearing. For the purposes of his arraignment today, how does he want to plead?
Not guilty, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Phillips, what's your home address?
1227 Mechanic.
Boy,
Pardon me?
do you have a job?
No, ma'am. I'm on Social Security. I was self-employed, but
Okay, what's your phone number?
517-977-3641.
You're currently scheduled for probable cause conference before me, Judge Kristen Simmons, on Friday, May 27, 2022, at 1:00 p.m. That'll be handled via Zoom. Did you get information on how to appear via Zoom?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay, you have a preliminary examination on Friday before me. I'm in courtroom 4. It's gonna be June 3rd, 2022 at 8:30 in the morning. That's in person. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
And do you have any questions about your rights as it relates to that file?
The only question I have is, how do I go about seeing my children? So,
Oh, I can't answer that question for you, sir. I have no control over what goes on with you and
Well,
your
without
children.
being
I'm
able to-
here, I'm here to address your pending felonies. I'm not the family court, sir.
okay, well, I didn't know how contact was supposed to be because she has my children without contacting her, being able to see my children.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll address contact in a minute, but I can guarantee you there'll be a no contact order between you.
Well, I
and the
understand
alleged
that, and
victim.
that was.
I could be under the, I haven't gotten to the next 2 files yet, but it sounds like there was already a no contact order that possibly
Yes,
was
but-
violated.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay, so I'm gonna remind you again that you have the right to remain silent because anything you say can and will be used against you. And I say will because we do have a prosecutor here at this hearing, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so, did you want to address bond on this file? Mr. Raleigh?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. I would note that Mr. Phillips has informed me that once he is released from custody, he will be able to stay with family in Mason. So he will not have any reason to return to the home that he shared with the alleged victim, Rachel Phillips. Certainly that would aid with abiding by any no contact orders. I think certainly he understands that he needs to be very diligent about abiding by those orders going forward, especially considering the serious nature of this new charge and the pending charges that he's facing. I know this is a very serious case involving the safety of the alleged victim. For that reason, while I would request a personal recognizance bond, if Your Honor finds that that is not appropriate, I would request that any cash bond or 10% bond be set at an affordable level, as Mr. Phillips' only source of income at this time is Social Security, and he simply is certainly going through a tough time financially currently, and I don't see that changing in the near future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Pfeiffer, did you want to address bond on this file?
Yes, Your Honor. The people will be requesting a high cash surety bond with a GPS tether and a victim notification, as well as an exclusion zone. To try and put this as cleanly as I can, on the 12th of this month, the defendant is alleged to have assaulted the victim, Miss Phillips. On the 13th, he's alleged to have broken into Miss Phillips' friend's home looking for her because she was sheltering there after the domestic assault. The also motivation is that he had been showing signs and threats not only towards Miss Phillips, but towards himself in terms of suicide. And she was afraid for her children's safety. So Mr. Raleigh says there's no reason for him to go see Miss Phillips. Mr. Phillips has already given that reason to the court. He believes that she is keeping his children from him. And so he is doing everything he can to get to her because of those children, which has been shown, again, to be the first thing on his mind. On the 14th, he was arrested, and while awaiting arraignment, he called the victim from our jail, threatened her, admits he's suicidal, admits he's acting crazy to get to her and breaking indoors. He's given a bond and let out on the home invasion case. He posts the bond, I believe on the 16th, $5,000. On the 16th, he calls her 50 times that day alone, threatening her. He even has a third party tell her that he shot himself and staged a fake suicide with fake blood and everything. And he sends her messages such as, and I quote, "So go ahead and do it. Slow speed chase all the way there and smashing both of the vehicles. If you're not there, I'll drive my shit through your mom's fucking living room. You should know by now that if I say it, then I mean it. The cops respond to the victim's reply. They're unable to arrest the defendant. The next day, on the 17th, the victim finds him in her home. He then later continues to call and text her. He's been doing it ever since he got out of jail. He even texts her while the officers are there. Things such as, I'm blowing your fucking brains out.
Never said.
He threatens that he will videotape himself blowing his brains out and send it to her so she could feel the same pain he's felt. Quote, please just let me see my kids or you're gonna see a beast so come out of me so big and so powerful that I'm afraid of what it can do. Separate text. Oh, and one more thing before I fall asleep. The doors are nailed shut, and if for some reason the police think they're gonna bust their way in here, I got traps set that will remove their fucking face. So please, please do not attempt to enter. He also, in these texts, tries to get her to get the other charges dropped. The domestic violence charges that are already pending, which, while I don't believe I'm the prosecutor assigned to this, I, with a high degree of confidence, can say that prosecutor will be seeking to add witness interference charges at the examination. Because he texts, and I quote, you can either call them, the police, and say I didn't do anything, and you said that I did out of anger and spite. Then say you're very sorry for wasting their time and pray it works. Or figure out where you're going to live until the case is settled and they lift the no contact order. Mr. Phillips has been very clear by his actions. He does not care about the court's orders. He does not care about the court cases or the no contact orders or any other step that the victim has made to protect herself. He has shown signs of suicidal ideations as well as homicidal ideations. And I have no doubt that without subsequent high cash surety bond and GPS tether, he'll go right back to her to try and get to the children. He's wasted no time. He's wasted no time every step of the way. So I'd ask that you set a high cash surety bond in this matter.
It's all out of desperation. It's just
Okay,
desperation.
Mr. Phillips again.
See my children. I'm
Mr.
desperate.
Phillips,
Just
Mr.
forget it, that's all.
Phillips, Mr.
I get it.
Phillips.
Jason, please
Okay,
remain.
remand,
sorry.
he'll be
Sorry.
remanded, he'll be remanded. We are terminating this
I'm
hearing.
sorry.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
I don't have to go back and forth to try to talk over you, to give you your
I-
rights. You will be
I
remanded.
apologize.
We will see you at your probable cause conference. Thank you.
I apologize.
Thank you, Your Honor.
We'll discuss it at your probable cause conference, sir.
But I got other charges. What are you supposed to do?
Next is going to be Matthew Madlow.
Your Honor, I think we still have the PA 53 for Mr. Phillips.
I can't, I could not continue with the arraignment because he became disruptive. So we'll
Understood,
arraign
Your
him
Honor.
on it at his next court date.
Understood. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. Are you Mr. Matthew Madlow?
Yeah, yes.
Thank you. We're on the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Matthew Richard Madlow, file number 21-00906 SM, council appearance.
Attorney Luke Goodrich from the Public Defender's Office here to represent Mr. Madlow for his arraignment this afternoon.
Okay, Mr. Madlow, today's the date and time set for an arraignment. I have here a misdemeanor complaint. It alleges that on or about February 5th, 2021 at 1215 East Michigan Avenue, City of Lansing, Ingham County, State of Michigan, that you did allegedly, contrary to law, commit the act in count 1 of assault or assault and battery. It alleges that you did make an assault or assault and battery upon a person by the name of William Williams, and that this was done contrary to Michigan Compile Law 750.81. Restitution is possible as this offense may have resulted in damage to another individual's property, or it may have resulted in physical injury or death to another individual. This is a misdemeanor, sir. The maximum penalty is 93 days and or $500 in fines, and a consecutive sentence may be imposed under the law if the assault was committed in a place of confinement. Do you understand the charge and the maximum penalty, sir?
Yes.
Oh. You have the right to be represented by counsel. You're represented today by the Office of the Public Defender by way of Mr. Luke Goodrich. You have the right to have an attorney, however, to represent you at each stage of the criminal prosecution. And if you cannot afford to hire your own attorney, you have the right to request attorney to be appointed at the expense of the public, okay?
Yes.
Is he requesting court-appointed counsel?
Yes, he is, Your Honor.
Mr. Madlow, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say and anything you put in writing can be used against you. You have the right to plead guilty, plead not guilty, or stand mute. You have the right to proceed to trial in this matter, and at the time of trial, you have the right to have the prosecution prove each element of the charge against you, and they have to prove each of the elements beyond a reasonable doubt. You have the right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty, and you have the right to remain silent at trial and not have silence be used to prove or implicate your guilt. You have the right to question or cross-examine any of the witnesses the prosecution calls. You have the right to call your own witnesses or present evidence that you believe would further defense to the charge. Do you understand each of those rights, sir?
Yes.
Do you have any questions about those rights?
No.
Okay. For the purposes of his arraignment, how does he want to plead?
Not guilty, Your Honor.
The court will enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf, sir. What's your home address?
8614 Doe, DOE, Pass, PASS.
Is that in Lansing or East Lansing?
Lansing.
What's your zip code?
48917.
Okay. Are you currently employed?
No.
What's your phone number?
517-599-1465.
You're currently scheduled for a pre-trial conference before me, Judge Kristen Simmons. It's going to be on Tuesday, May 31st, 2022 at 9:30 in the morning. Did you get a notice to appear and Zoom instructions?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, you can appear in person if you'd like, but if Zoom is convenient for you, you can appear in person so long as you have video capabilities and you are appropriate to appear virtually, okay?
Yes.
Do you have any questions at this time, sir?
No.
Counsel, did you want to address bond?
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, Mr. Madlow informed me that he doesn't have any criminal convictions. He's lived in this area his whole life. He's currently residing with his parents over in the west side of Lansing. Considering this is a misdemeanor charge, we would ask for a PR bond in this matter.
This incident occurred over a year ago. I don't see anything instant before the court that would cause me to believe that there is an ongoing threat to the public safety. I'll grant the request for a personal recognizance bond. Bond will be issued in the amount of $500 personal recognizance. Sir, while out on bond, you need to make sure you appear to court for all of your future court dates. You need to appear on time, okay?
Yes.
You're not to have any contact directly or indirectly with the alleged victim. Don't believe that is a problem, but just to the extent that for some reason you'd be able to make communication with Mr. William Williams, that's in violation of your bond condition, okay?
Yes.
You're not to purchase or possess a firearm or any other dangerous weapon while on bond. You're not to travel outside the state without prior approval of the court. You're not to use, purchase, or possess alcohol or drugs unless you have a valid prescription. You're not to engage in any assaultive or threatening behavior while out on bond. Do you have any questions at this time about your bond conditions?
No.
Any additional matters for the record?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Thank you, sir. You're all set. Dustin Myers?
All the way up to the table. Thank you.
Are you Dustin Myers, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we're on the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Dustin Lewis Myers, counsel appearance.
Thank you, Your Honor. Attorney Jacob Rowley from the Office of the Public Defender appearing on behalf of Mr. Myers for the purpose of his arraignment.
Thank you, and this is in file number 20-00679. Mr. Myers, this is set for a arraignment on a bench warrant. He was supposed to be before the court on December 15, 2020. He failed to appear. Looks like prior to that, you were supposed to be before the court on November 17, 2020, and you failed to appear. Prior to that, you were supposed to be before the court on October 27, 2020, and you failed to appear. And this is for a driving while license is suspended. Why did you not appear, sir?
I didn't acquire any of this mail that was sent to me. I didn't know that I was supposed to be appearing. I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Okay. The information that I have before the court is that your address then is the same now. Are you still at the address at 410 Hazlitt Road?
Yes, Your Honor. That's what my official mailing address is supposed to be, but I'm not living there.
Okay, well,
I'm,
yeah, that was your fault. You were supposed to provide the court with the valid address.
yes, Your Honor.
What's the address that you're living at?
527 South Hayford.
Can you spell that?
Hayford is in Hayford.
What city and state?
Lansing, Michigan.
What's your phone number?
517-885-8124.
Okay, this matter will be reset for a pretrial before Judge Cynthia Ward. It's going to be on Tuesday, May 31st, 2022 at 10 o'clock in the morning, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you get a copy of the notice to appear and her Zoom instructions?
Yes, Your Honor. I think so.
You can also appear in person. Who lives at the address at 410 Hazlitt Road?
The owner of the property is Ralph Wilson.
Okay, is that a relative of yours?
A friend of mine.
Okay, and you can receive mail to the 527 South Hayford?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so you've been provided notice to appear, so there's no excuse. I'm gonna
Yes, Your Honor.
grant you the benefit of the doubt on this. Although there were 3 failure to appears, this was in the middle of a COVID shutdown. So I will grant you, again, the benefit of the doubt. I can guarantee you, if you do not appear for your next court date, the next judge won't be as lenient as I am, okay?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Do you have any questions about your next court date?
No, Your Honor.
Bond
Actually, I was curious of what I owe for all this because I get paid tomorrow. I could probably just pay it all off.
I couldn't tell you what you owe because I don't know what's on your driving record, and this matter is still pending, so the judge has not affixed a fine on this.
Understood, Your
But
Honor.
I'm going to issue a personal recognizance bond so that you can get out of custody today, what you need to want, or what you're gonna want to do, I should say. And I don't know if you have attorney in this, but you probably want to look into your driving record and see if you can get a valid license if you don't have one, because I'm inclined to believe that's what they're gonna require you to do when you get to your pretrial anyways, okay?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, do you have any other questions?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, you're all set, sir.
Your Honor, I show Mr. Myers has a fresh trespass charge for today. Do you have that on your
Yeah,
end?
you're correct. You're correct. I just saw it. I'm sorry. You can come back, Mr. Myers. Okay, we're now on the record in the matter of the people of the city of Lansing versus Dustin Lewis Myers. This is file number 22-01311. And can I have your appearance on this record, counsel?
Yes, Your Honor. Jacob Raleigh, Assistant Public Defender, appearing on behalf of Mr. Myers for purposes of his arraignment.
Okay, Mr. Myers, I have here. A citation and alleges that on or about May 17th, 2022 at the area of 527 South Hayford Avenue and Market Street, City of Lansing, Ingham County, which so happens to be the address you just said that you live at.
Yes, Your Honor.
City of Lansing, Ingham County, that you were cited for allegedly trespassing in a red tag property.
Yes, Your Honor.
Give me just a moment because they're putting an offense code on here. Okay, so this is a misdemeanor, sir. In violation of the city ordinance is punishable with the maximum penalty of 90 days in jail or up to $500 in fines. You understand that, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so since you just told me that you were living at this address, I'm gonna need to address the other file back, please. You have the right to be represented by counsel during this proceeding. You have the right to proceed to a trial on the allegation that you trespass at a red tag property. And you have the right to have the city bring sufficient evidence to prove each element of the charge against you, and they have to prove each element beyond a reasonable doubt. You understand that, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
On this matter, you are currently scheduled for a pretrial before Judge Cynthia Ward Monday, June 13, 2022 at 9:30 in the morning. Did you get a copy of your notice to appear for that?
Yes, Your Honor. It's right here in front of me.
Okay. Also, in regards to your rights as it relates to this, you have the right to cross-examine or question any witness the prosecution intends to call. And you have the right to call your own witnesses or present any evidence you believe would further a defense to the charge that you trespassed in the red tag property. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
You have the right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty. You have the right to have the city prove each element of the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Do you have any questions about those rights?
No, Your Honor.
Is requesting court-appointed counsel on this?
Yes, he is, Your Honor.
And is he pleading not guilty?
Yes.
Okay, well, you're gonna have to give me another address, sir, because I don't think you can go back to this address.
If I can give you his cousin's address, that's just a few blocks from there. 700
You can give
Shepherd
me
Street.
whoever's
Lansing,
address you
Michigan.
want, but where are you gonna be staying?
Well, I'm at this property every day to take care of it, and I'm only one person, but I'm doing the best I can to get out of being red tagged.
Okay, I recognize that, but if it's red tag, then there's requirements as to when you can be in the property. And
Right,
based
from
on the
8 to 5.
allegation of the time, that would be outside of that. And so you can't live at a red tag property. You can only be at the property during business hours to bring the property up to code. I asked you
Correct.
where you were living and you told me you were living at this property, which would be in violation of the red tag. Where are you
Understood.
going to live during the pendency of both of these matters? Because it won't be at 527 South Hayford.
I can't tell you that, Your Honor, because I'm not sure.
Okay, well, with that being stated, I'm gonna have to amend the bond that I issued. You cannot be released until you provide us with an address that you will be living at. I don't want a random address for you to get mail sent there that you're not gonna be at.
I give you my grandparents'. It's
Are you
410
gonna stay
South
with your
Hayford.
grandparents? Are you gonna
I
stay
can.
with your grandparents?
Yes,
Okay. Where do your grandparents stay?
410 South, 410 Hazlet Road.
That's the address that we sent your mail before and you said you don't stay there?
Yep. I'm gonna have to move there. I'm not giving a choice.
Live there, because I asked you who lived at that property and you led me to believe you didn't know the person.
I'm sorry.
I asked you who lived at this address when we were on the record on the other matter, and you gave me the name of the owner, but you led me to believe it was not someone you knew.
At the Hayford address is someone that
No, at
I
the
know.
410
Friend.
Hazlet Road address.
That's my grandparents' address.
Okay, so you believe you can stay there, but you're not sure. Is that correct?
Not 100%.
Okay.
And if there's any change of address, I'll let the courts know immediately.
Yeah, well, it'll be your responsibility to let the court know as soon as you change your address. I'll put here that your mail is gonna go to this 410 Hazlet Road and that it's your grandmother's address. There's no excuse to tell me that you don't have or couldn't get your mail, because I'm confident if you are in communication with your grandmother, she'll tell you if you have some mail there. You have your next court dates, so you know when and where you should be appearing. I am going to allow your attorney to address bond on this matter.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. I would simply note that these are not, certainly are not violent charges. I don't believe that Mr. Myers is a danger to himself or anyone else. I think certainly after today, he will have a better understanding of the fact that he simply cannot be living at a red tagged house, and I don't think he's going to attempt that again. I would like note that I was already aware of that Hazlet address. I believe that he has stayed there in the past. So he certainly does have some relationship with the owners, and for those reasons, I would request a personal recognizance bond at this time.
Bond will be set at $100 personal recognizance. You will reside at the address at 410 Hazlet Road, and if that address is to change, you will notify the court immediately. You need to appear to all your future court dates, appear on time. You're not to enter the address of 527 South Hayford anytime outside of the business hours appropriate for bringing that property up to code. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you, Your Honor.
you have any questions?
No, Your Honor. I
Any
understand.
additional matters for the record, counsel?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. You're all set, sir.
Have a good day, Your Honor.
Thank you. Jacob Garcia.
You're next, Mr.
Are you Jacob Garcia?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. We're on the record in the matters of the people of the city of Lansing versus Jacob Garcia. I have file numbers 21L26135521, 21L26135522, and then I also have file number 21-01687, council appearance.
Thank you, Your Honor. Attorney Jacob Raleigh from the Office of the Public Defender appearing on behalf of Jacob Garcia for the purpose of his arraignment this afternoon.
Thank you. And Mr. Garcia, I have here a request and summons for probation violation on file number 21-01687, dated for March 31st, 2022, and it alleges that you violated the terms of your probation by failing to report as directed on March 22nd, 2022, and on March 29th, 2022. It also alleges that you violated the terms of your probation by making contact with the Amy Milborn by phone on March 19, 2022, March 20th, 2022, March 22nd, 2022, and March 25th, 2022. There's also an allegation that you violated the terms of your probation by failing to submit to random your analysis on or before March 29, 2022. So you have the right to have a contested hearing on those allegations. You have the right to be represented by counsel at the time of the contested hearing. You have the right to have the prosecution and the probation department bring evidence to establish whether or not you violated the terms of your probation in the domestic violence court. If you're found to be in violation, your probation, any special status can be revoked. You can be sentenced to a term of jail time. Your probation status can be extended, or you can be faced with additional sanctions. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you requesting court-appointed counsel to represent you for the probation violation?
Yes, ma'am.
The court will enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf for the violations, and this matter will be set for a hearing before Judge Ward. Is your address still 818 Riley Street?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, you received, or there was a notice for you to appear on April 7th at 2:30 for arraignment on this charge. You did not appear.
I guess I never received anything. And my daughter has been sick with glaucoma and granular dystrophy, so I mean, I've just been stuck at home with her. She can't go nowhere, can't go to school, so.
Okay, I'm sorry to hear about your daughter. And so it really isn't a good idea for you to be sitting in jail because you didn't appear in court if you have some responsibilities at home. My concern is that this matter is going to need to be set before Judge Ward, and I'm going to allow her courtroom to send you a date. The issue that I have is the last time they sent you a date, you didn't respond. So that gives the court some concern about your ability and willingness to respond to your notice to appear. That's my concern.
I mean, I've never not appeared before, except for I guess this one time, but I, to be honest, never got a paper in the mail or nothing.
Okay. Also, on the other two cases that I called, there's a speeding 16 miles over. It looks like you were supposed to be before the court back on March 11, 2021. You failed to appear. So there was a show cause because a default judgment was entered. You owed the amount of $318. It looks like you failed to appear again on April 18th. And so your balance at this time on that is $248.
Okay.
When are you gonna pay that?
Soon as possible, I guess, when I can get out of here.
You mean you can pay that today?
Yes, ma'am, if I got out.
Okay. You also have a failure to display ops. And it looks like you owe $200 on that one. When are you gonna pay that?
I mean, that one would have to be about a week from now.
Okay, counsel, did you want to address bond on the probation violation?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. I would note that certainly Mr. Garcia, clearly he lives locally in Lansing, has lived in Lansing his whole life. I would note that I frankly, after speaking to him, I don't believe it is his intention to avoid these court dates. I think possibly there was a problem with him receiving mail, or he was not keeping up with checking his mail. In any case, it certainly is his responsibility to take care of that. I think he's ready to accept responsibility for those failures to appear, but I don't think he will continue to miss those court dates. I think he will appear in court as ordered. He certainly wants to get this taken care of, complete his probation, and move on. And I would request a personal recognizance bond at this time.
Thank you. In review of the file that you're before Judge Ward's DV court for, I don't see where you've missed any court dates, sir. You've appeared to all of those court dates. And so I will grant the request for personal recognizance bond. They will send you a notice of when your hearing is going to be. It's your responsibility to follow up if for some reason you haven't received notice of that hearing within the next week, so you can find out when your hearing date is. Do you understand
ma'am.
that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, I'm gonna remind you that there's a no contact order that you're under.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any questions about that no contact order?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Any additional matters for the record?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Okay, as to this, I'm gonna release you on a $500 personal recognizance bond. I have a note here in the file for the speeding that you're gonna pay that as soon as you're released, and then you'll
Yes,
pay
ma'am.
the other within the next 14 days, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any questions, sir?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, you're all set, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Edric Pruitt? Okay, we're on the record in the matters of the people of the city of Lansing versus Edric Pruitt. I have two files here, file number 22-01312 and 22-00932. Council appearance, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Attorney Jacob Riley from the Office of the Public Defender, appearing on behalf of Edric Pruitt for the purpose of his arraignment.
Okay, for today's the date set for arraignment. You have a file that you've already been arraigned on. Oh, no, it doesn't appear you were arraigned. You were scheduled to be arraigned on that matter back on the 6th. That's file number ending in 932, and that you failed to appear.
On 6.
That is correct, sir. That is a
What's it?
citation that I have here that alleges that on or about April 2nd, 2022, at 6:55 p.m. in the area upon South Cedar in South Pennsylvania, city of Lansing, Ingham County, state of Michigan, that you allegedly committed the act of trespassing on the property of another. I also have another file here, also a trespassing, and that alleges that on or about May 18th, 2022, at approximately 12:12 in the morning, in the area upon South Pennsylvania at or near Miller, city of Lansing, Ingham County, state of Michigan, that you did allegedly trespass at the Speedway located at 6041 South Pennsylvania. Okay, the other one does not tell me what the location of that address is, but these are both misdemeanors. You have the right to be represented by counsel in these matters. You have the right to proceed to trial in these matters. At the time of trial, you have the right to have the city bring sufficient evidence to prove each element of the charge against you. You have to prove each element beyond a reasonable doubt. Do you understand those rights, sir? Sir, can you hear me?
Yeah,
I'm sorry?
y'all hear you?
Okay. You have the right to question or cross-examine any of the witnesses that the prosecution intends to call. You have the right to call your own witnesses, sir, or present evidence that you believe will further a defense to these charges of trespassing. And then you have the right to remain silent at trial and not have silence be used to prove or implicate your guilt. Do you understand those rights?
Yeah.
Okay. Is he requesting court-appointed counsel?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, you're currently scheduled for pretrial on both matters before Judge Flores on May 31st, 2022 at 9:30 in the morning. Did you get a copy of the notice to appear, sir?
No, yeah, remember I gotta do it, I got it in my pocket. Yeah,
I'm sorry, I couldn't understand what you said.
Yes, ma'am, I got it in my pocket.
Can you speak up for me?
Yeah, I got it in my pocket. I got the,
Okay.
I got it right here.
Do they both say, with the information I just said, you might want to pull it out and check it, just based on some history that you have with appearing for court?
Yeah, I got 5/31/22.
Okay. Do you have any questions for the court at this time?
You said court, it's 5/31/22, right?
Sorry, can you repeat that again?
So
Can you repeat what you said?
what you said right here? What you said?
Mr. Pruitt's papers both say 5:31 at 9:30 in the morning, ma'am.
That's correct, sir. They both were 5:30, I'm sorry, 9:30 at 5:31 before Judge Flores. And both of these, again, are misdemeanors, maximum penalty being 90 days in jail or up to $500 in fines. Do you have any questions at this time, sir?
No, but if I do get, everyone,
I need you to speak up because I'm having a struggle hearing you. Can you speak up?
Yeah, I got paid, today, if you let me out, I can pay some fines if you want to. If you want to, it's your, it is so it says, you good. That's it.
Okay, sounds good. Mr. Raleigh, did you want to address bond?
Yes, Your Honor, I would simply note that of course, these are not violent charges. I don't believe that Mr. Pruitt is a dangerous person. I think certainly he is not someone who poses a threat to himself or others. He simply is someone who needs to not trespass. Frankly, I think this isn't the first time he's been charged with trespassing. He needs to respect other person's property, and when he's asked to leave, he needs to leave. And I certainly hope he can do better with that in the future. But regardless of that, I would just request a personal recognizance bond due to the fact that he certainly is not dangerous and is not a flight risk as someone who has lived locally his entire life.
Well, unfortunately, I would strongly disagree as to the flight risk because there's a strong history of failure to return to court.
Oh.
Mr. Pruitt does not return to court on his own recognizance. And he's proven that countless times, and he knows that. And so there will not be a personal recognizance bond. I will issue a $100 cash bond in each file. No PR for 14 days. Do you have any questions? Mr. Pruitt, do you have any questions, sir?
Oh, no, I'm sorry, I'm good, I'm good. Nah, I got no question.
Okay, sounds good. Well, then you'll see Mr. Flores soon, okay? Or Judge Flores soon, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, sir. That's all I have.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Two.
Ma'am.
Great.